activity discovered, and there's supposed to be a scandal. He said, what's the scandal about it? I mean, you can't blame them for being here. It would be like blaming them for being here. What did you expect? But he was always pretended, no, this is absolutely unthinkable. And all these weird patrolling unmarried masters as well.
Does it remind
putting their arm around you while trying to make you read the more erotic verses of Catullus, for example.
Does that remind you, though,
shorts,
of the Catholic Church? Does that remind you of the Catholic Church?
Nothing is as bad as the Roman Catholic Church. That wouldn't be fair. This was a Methodist institution, thanks for this.
You describe, and I'm going to jump around just because there's so many wonderful anecdotes in here, but you described being at Oxford, and there was Rhodes Scholar Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And while he did not inhale, as he so famously said, you write he did other things with drugs.
When I read his so carefully lawyered remark, he must have known one day he'd be asked. And he was ready with it. He said, I tried it, yeah. No one would have believed him if he said he hadn't. But didn't like it and didn't inhale. Everyone laughed because they could tell he was lying. But I knew how. I knew what the lie was. I laughed a bit louder. There's a contemporary of ours. Where is Mr. Franklin, by the way?
Oh,
Her Majesty's
there he is.
Britannic Consul in Philadelphia, who's also present in this party of people.
So you can vouch for this, is that right? Okay.
Great friend of ours called Martin Walker, who later became Clinton's biographer. And his book, published here, is called The President We Deserve. When published in England, it was called The President They Deserve. I couldn't help pointing out to him I'd noticed that. He swears that I was in the room when Bill mainlined the pile of cookies and brownies.
We know he's a man who likes
Everyone knows he likes a hefty snack, enriched with voyages of the imagination. So that's what it was. So we saw him coming, rather.
And the book you wrote about him, No One Left to Lie To. You don't like Bill Clinton.
I don't. I never did. We had a girlfriend in common, though I don't think either of us knew that we did.
Oh.
I don't know whether that was him being clever or her. But it was a bit of a facer to find that out. And I'm not allowed to mention her name. She still doesn't want it mentioned. But,
do you notice how quiet it got here as you said that?
But you would know the name if I had said it to you, or at least you would, if you followed at all radical feminist lesbian studies in the American university.
Oh, okay. Well, that narrows it down a little bit.
She's very well known in that field, so one of us must have been doing something right.
Well, let me segue from that to a delightful story that you tell about Margaret Thatcher, and I have to say this is the Margaret Thatcher I don't even know how to imagine.
Well, when Mrs. Thatcher was elected the leader of the Conservative Party in 1978, I think it was, you'd be amazed if you went back and looked up the press at that time. Everybody said, this is ridiculous, she's a shrill, mediocre housewife, suburbanite, no grasp of politics at all. The Tories had made a huge mistake. And everyone was very condescending towards her. And I thought, writing my political column for the for the Socialist Weekly, I thought this is a mistake. They're hugely underestimating her. And she's got charisma. And this charisma is not gender neutral. And I wrote this. Said I thought she had some oomph, if you like. And I've had a lot of mailbag stuff of a yuck kind since then. But never as much as that. People think, they couldn't bear to think about it. Anyway, when we subsequently met, I think she knew who I was because she was a new and untried leader. She was putting up with a lot of crap from the Tory press as well as the Liberal press. And there's someone on the left who says he thinks you're sexy and you have lovely skin and beautiful eyes. And she did. And so when we were introduced, I thought there was a little crackle, just a tiny bat squeak of sex between us as we brushed. And I think I was right, because we got into a fight about the then British white colony of Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. And I was right about this dispute. She was wrong about it, but she was so tenacious.
Did she know that?
No, I had no idea. But really stuck to her guns. So I thought, well, let's not waste the whole encounter on this point. So I said, well, no doubt there's something in what you say, and bowed, like that. And straightened up, and she said, no, bow lower. I thought, all volition deserted me. I bowed again, bent over somewhat, and then regained the vertical. And then she said, no, much lower. And again, I didn't seem to have any control over it. I was bent right forward, and she walked around behind me with a rolled-up parliamentary order paper. She turned into a sort of thin tube, whacked me on the butt. Straightened up with great difficulty after that. And as I tottered home, I thought, this woman is amazing. After she'd done that, she turned away, leaving the room, with what I maintained to my dying day was a roll of the hip, looked over her shoulder and said, naughty boy.
Wow.
So as I trudged home over Westminster Bridge, I describe it in the book. If you buy it, I'll sign it. I thought, this woman has definitely got something. And this was long before she was Prime Minister. The record of the next 10 years was anyone who got in her way was completely flattened. She totally gelded all the old male leadership of her party. She got everyone out of the way. Everyone was working for her. Impressed Gorbachev, got rid of the dictator in Argentina, had Reagan eating out of her hand. This doesn't come from being a shrill suburban housewife. It means you've got to have some. You've got to be packing something for that.
Were you a good?
I waited and waited for the phone call to come and the
really
dark limousine to draw up outside my humble.
You do have a rich fantasy life, don't you?
What makes you think nothing happened?
So you came to the U.S. in 1981?
To live, yes.
To live.
I came first in 1970.
And what did you like about America? Besides the women, which you say American girls were more ... forward.
Yes. The English rose type, this is a bit difficult, this is a bit iffy. The English rose type is full of charm, okay, but it slightly waits for you to have an idea. They're a bit, demure.
You're saying
American women? Demure, perhaps it could be said. American women sort of came right out with it. I was impressed. So there was that, and then there were all the things I'd been told. Land of opportunity, nothing like as stratified. I mean, if you wanted to succeed as a writer in London, you could if you pushed yourself hard. But you kept feeling that you were being judged as you went through various gradations. And you had to be approved by certain established people and this kind of thing. I was a bit impatient with all that. And I thought, I bet if I can get to New York, I could probably sidestep this a bit. Because there they tend to say, well, show us what you've got. Bring it on. And that promise was kept. And then there's so much of it. I traveled around it a lot by then. I thought, well, I'm never going to get bored with it. Which is, again, it's possible to get bored with England, even lovely though it is. It's a great subject, and it's increasingly turning into, I wouldn't have phrased it like that then, but I would now, the country which has the only revolution that's still standing. There's no other revolution that anyone looks to anymore except the American one. And that was potent for me too.
A British accent goes over well, though, in this country, doesn't it?
Better than it used to. I mean, it used to be a disadvantage in some cases, except in Hollywood, probably. A lot of Irish and German people didn't like it. And it got lampooned a lot. But I think since the Second World War, that's probably changed a bit. I sometimes find meeting sort of right-wing isolationists, who often are German or Irish, like Pat Buchanan, I can tell that just by opening my mouth, I'm pissing them off. So I think, well then,
and we
why
thank
not?
You for that.
That's fine. I'll see if I can put a bit of a drawl into it. Watch them writhe. White trash.
I don't know.